Hello, scrappers, recyclers, and investors. Welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where every week we're talking about stuff going on in the precious metals market, industrials metals market, the stocks that are all swirling around this industry of ours, and a safety note and a business note to round things out. It is great to be here in 2024, first live stream of the year. It is awesome. I hope you had some really good winter holiday celebrations and you're looking forward to a super 2024. Speaking of which, do you have any plans for 2024? I hate to refer to resolutions. To me, that's, I don't know. Some people still like to make their New Year's resolutions, and that's great. I kind of set out goals and plans and things like that for 2024. So I'd love to see what yours are in the comments down below. So, Scrapping Irish, welcome to the show. Andrew Powell from New Zealand, welcome aboard. Great to have you here. J.R. Cat, Roger, see you scrapping, electronic scrapper, e-waste Mike, great to have everybody here. Andrew Powell still wins the award for the longest distance traveled for the live stream. And I think the earliest riser for the live stream. Oh, man. So JR Cat saying that his goal for the year is to get his last two houses ready. I'm assuming you mean ready to sell. So yeah, that would be a pretty significant goal to have. And very understandable. All righty. Well, we are going to jump right into our precious metal for this live stream. We are talking silver. Now, as always, we're looking at the APMEX charts. I am not sponsored by APMEX, but I have used APMEX to buy and sell my physical gold and silver. And that's the only way that I recommend owning gold and silver is in the actual physical product. Investment you can hold. One of these folks, that's what they like to say. Oh, right there, investments you can hold. All right, so silver spot price 23.41. You can see that for the week we were kind of flat, then we had a nice little jump and it's been tapering off. So yeah, nothing to get terribly excited about going on here. Our 3-day, more of that story. Flat leading up, and then we came up, and now we're trailing off again. For the week, we see, this is the trailing off trend going on here. Has been for a week long here, so we're getting more and more into that buy area. So, I like seeing the silver prices go down. Because that means that you have more buying opportunity. I like when the prices go up, but I want them to go up way up so that I have a selling opportunity. Right now, we're kind of getting into that buy opportunity. There's still a little bit. I'd like to see it closer to 20 for a buy opportunity. We look at the month and we're down 2.3%. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate if you're into the silver thing. But for the 3-month or the quarter, we're up 8.99, almost 9%. So not too bad there. You can see down here, we were in serious buy territory 3 months ago at 21 and some change. So that was pretty nice. Year to date, we're down 2.5. And for the year, we're down 3.3, three and a third. With a lot of volatility going on throughout the year here. So, if you are a silver trader, you like this volatility because you'll try to buy when the prices are down in the low 20s. You'll try to sell, when it's up in the high 20s plus kind of thing. And you'll have a lot of churn. But if you are careful with how you buy and sell and you're not getting hit with serious premiums, you may have an opportunity to make some marginal money there on the trades with this kind of volatility going on. Our 5-year you can just see all this volatility. But the real story with silver is you buy silver when it's in the 20s, so that when it gets up here in these $40 and $50 ranges, you can make some serious change. I mean, that's what you're trying to do when you're buying your silver, preserving your wealth, and then really trying to knock it out of the park every once in a while when you get these spikes, which don't happen, as you can see right here. This is going back to the mid 90s, and you can see we only had this huge spike once, but this was a good year in here for buying and selling, for selling your silver. And then we've been in a buy mode here, and now we're in kind of just a churn going on right here. So for me anyway, I'm not buying any silver right now. Most of you know that we have big plans to relocate here in 2024. So I am building up a cash position so that I have funds available to move Mrs. Shark and I, the house, move the business, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not doing any selling right now, and any buying right now, and I'd really like to see the price go up so I could do some selling. Yeah, baby. Oh man. So I'm just curious, what do you all consider your buy range for silver? Is it the $20 to $25 range? Do you want it below 20 to buy your silver? I'm just curious. Hey, that's right, Recycling. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here. George Richardson, welcome to the show. So I was asking folks, what their goals were, and Mike says that his goal is death. Now, those of you that know Mike, you know that this is a recurring goal for him. Mike, it's going to happen. You don't have to make that a goal, man. One way or another, it's going to happen. It's just a question of how quickly. Okay. It's just, that's one of those things that we don't really have to do anything to try to achieve. Let's see. JR Cat says that his getting his houses ready is for rent, not sale. Okay. All right. That's cool. Landlord, JR Cat, the landlord. Are you landlord or slumlord? So, there is an issue here, JR Cat. The lower the price, the more of a premium they want. You always got to watch out for those premiums. That's why I usually avoid silver eagles and go with silver rounds and bars from respected mints, because the premiums will be a little lower, and you do need to shop around for those premiums. That's why it's nice to have multiple places to buy your silver and gold from, so that you can shop some of those premiums. And it surprises me sometimes the deals that you can get on on premiums when the different shops are trying to outdo each other. JR Cat says moving is so fun. Yeah. I'm going to keep that in mind. Oh man. Ay. All right. So I want to talk about our safety note for the day. And as you know, I like to have, usually what will happen is something will occur during the week that motivates me or gives me a subject for our silver. And the thing that I found this week that really came to mind for me was I was testing out that new DeWalt wire cutter that I got for Christmas, cable cutter actually, and it's been doing great. I mean, it has really helped me out with cutting the thicker cable that I picked up from one of my electricians, getting it into manageable lengths that I can either strip or deal with without having big coils of the stuff all over the place, which was really nice. And when I had my manual cutter, I had to really bear down hard on trying to cut those wires. The other thing that I've been messing around with is when I'm scrapping computers, and I go to cut the wire off of the power supply units. You know, you get that big, thick wire bundle coming out of the power supply unit. And I mean, it's not that difficult to cut with a good set of cable cutters. But, you know, it's a bit of work. It's kind of some stress on the hands and the wrists as you're bearing down to cut through all that wire. Well, now with this new wire cutter that I have, man, all I got to do is just put the wire in there and pull the trigger, and it cuts it without any trouble at all. And I've also, you know, one of my viewers said, hey, just keep letting the blade go all the way through, and then you'll be able to just flip it back over to quickly reset it. So I've started doing that. That's working fantastic. So you know, all of this is to say that the repetitive stress accidents are the things that we really need to watch out for as scrappers. We use our hands a lot. We're using our elbows a lot, our shoulders, and those repetitive stress injuries can be really tough on us, especially as we get a bit older. And what you don't realize is when you're a younger scrapper and you're doing all this stuff, you don't even think about the damage that you're doing to your body. This constant motion of cutting and unscrewing things, that can be really hard on all of these joints, right? All your tendons and the nerves and things in your hands and your wrists and your elbows. You can get some serious damage to yourself, and it accumulates over time. And as you get a little bit on in years, like many of us are, that damage can really become obvious and even somewhat debilitating. I was reading up on a lot of places call it trigger finger syndrome. But what can happen is, and it can happen with any of your fingers, but it's very common with the fingers that you use when you're cutting or when you're pulling a trigger on something. And what can happen is you get these tears and these buildup, damages along all of the tendons in here, and you can get to a point where your fingers or a finger is gets to the point where you can't straighten it out. And then if that persists for too long, then you need to have surgery to be able to fix that. So what I recommend everybody do is some exercises like this, every now and then while you're in your shop, just stop, put your tools down, stretch your hands, work it all out a bit. Make sure you take a break every now and then. That's one of the best things that you can do to help with the repetitive stress injuries. Just take a break, put the tools down, go do something else that doesn't require that motion all the time, and stretch your hands so that you prevent that damage that could cause near permanent curling of your fingers. Because boy, howdy, I'm sure that's very painful. I mean, I've had cramps every now and then in my hands from just working too long, putting in too many hours. I start getting the cramps in the hands. We all get that way. We're like, oh no, I want to get done, this stack of PCs today or something like that. And you're pushing through, and then pretty soon, you just have some serious pain going on there. So watch out for the repetitive stress injuries. They can be very painful and sometimes only treatable with surgery. So you want to make sure that you try to avoid getting them that far along that you're stuck with surgery. And you know what? It's not just using the tools, right? Because a lot of people can get the same kind of injuries from keyboard and mouse work. Especially if you don't have an ergonomic table where you're sitting in the same position all the time and your wrists, aren't at the right position, or they don't change enough. And so you can get some serious damage that way too. I think I'm going to end up with coffee knuckle syndrome from holding a coffee cup too much. All right. Well, our industrial metal today is aluminum, and I've been looking at multiple sources now trying to find some good charts to use, because the old source that I was using, kitgo.com, they don't have the base metal. Hey, Scrap It All, great to have you here. Urban Prospector, welcome. Listening while you deliver, that's cool, man. So kitgo.com doesn't have the charts that we used to use, and that's kind of bumming me out. So I've been busy looking for other sources, and I'm messing around with a couple here. So, let me know. We're going to look at two different sources today. Let me know, what you like or don't like about the two of them. The first one that we're going to look at, some pretty basic charts here. So this is from mining.com. And, I like the simplicity of these charts, right? You got aluminum, $1 US dollars per pound. You got the 52-week lows and high over here. And then you can go down here and you can see that, we were flat through the end of the holidays. Markets weren't doing, anything. Markets opened up and we see the prices coming down. And what I like about this site is, they got some pretty basic, simple charts. You can come over here and you can say, here's what the 1 month aluminum price is. And you can see right here, the current price, $1.01 per pound. So you can then go along the line and it gives you the prices at key points. So, that's kind of cool. It's pretty simple. And you can very clearly see here that for the month, the aluminum prices were climbing and then started dropping off here when in the new year. If we look at the 3 month, so we go here to the 3 month, and again, a very simple, basic chart. Hey, Patrick, great to have you here. We see that aluminum prices were pretty much dropping off going into December. They started climbing from about mid-December, and now they're dropping off again. And then our 6 month chart, a lot of variability overall, upward, going from about 95 cents a pound up to where we're at right now at $1.01. But we were up higher at $1.06. So you can see there's an overall trend up here. 1 year and 5 year. So I like the simplicity of these charts. They don't really, though, let us look at a lot of detail or ask a lot of questions, and they don't give us the inventories for the London Metal Exchange or COMEX. So far, the places that I have found that would give that, they want to charge me for access, and I'm not ready to do that just yet. So we're going to compare this site to Trading Economics. Now, Trading Economics has got a much more robust chart. Now, here we're in tons. You see these numbers are, you're like, what kind of, so these are tons. All right. Now, what I like about this site is that I can go in and I can pick what I'm using. I can use the straight line chart. I can use the candlesticks like we talked about last week. I can also, so for instance, right here we're on, this is the 1 year. I can go in and tell it to average by the week. And so we get a little bit, all right, when I tell it to go by the week, it automatically defaults to 5 years because the chart would look funny at 1 year. So I can adjust the span of the period that, or the averaging. And this is kind of cool. So here we're looking at the 5 year, and if I zoom in, I can, we're going to hang at this point here, and we're going to expand this chart. And so what I've done is I've zoomed into 2024 going back into 2023 and then 2022. And so here we can take this crosshair thing and we can look at the date and we can see what the price was and we can track it along. So I kind of like that this gives me quite a bit more information that I can mess around with. And having studied candlesticks, for me, I find these patterns to be very telling. And this is what you expect here. You see these green candlesticks. These were these prices are climbing. You see this red candlestick. You're expecting the drops, and here's the drops coming across here. Most times, traders are using this when they're doing stocks, and some people are very good at using candlesticks when they're doing their stocks. Now, for us, I don't use this really for for the metals. I just happen to find this to be very interesting to look at it this way. But the other thing that I like here is this is the summary chart. You see up here, this is the summary chart. And if you go up to the top, it will give you some explanation for what's going on. So aluminum futures fell below $2,300 a ton because there was an explosion at a bauxite mine in Guyana, excuse me. And that took out the fuel supply, so they weren't able to process, and folks got nervous about that. And then the UAE stepped in and said, we're gonna put some money at fixing this, so that sort of stabilized the prices. So I like this summary that they provide as well, that to help you a little bit. The other thing that I like is this forecast tool that they have. So this is these are technical forecast tools here. And essentially what they're saying is that we should expect the aluminum prices to come up a little bit, right? But we've got this band that that the prices should probably fall within. And if you look at this band, you're saying to yourself, okay, that's not really telling me a whole lot. But if you look right here at this gray line, you can see that what they're saying from a technical perspective is there might be some increase in aluminum prices coming up in the future here. So that's good news for us, because we haven't been doing really well with aluminum prices in the recycling world. So it'd be nice to see aluminum prices come up, and that would therefore drive up the aluminum the prices for scrap aluminum that we're really interested in. So I like this site here. I'm curious what you all think about it, and if you have any favorites on between these two. I'm going to keep looking, try to find even better information, or spend some time trying to better understand all of these things that are available to me on these charts to help us all out. I think the bottom line for us is for aluminum. So let's go back to aluminum. Let's look at 1 year, and let's zoom in on what's happened here for the last few months here. And we see that, we've just got a lot of volatility going on with our aluminum prices. Probably got a little bit more downward action going to happen over here. Aluminum for me is paying the bills, right? It's a cash flow metal for me. So I don't stockpile it, with the exception of some of the wire that I get out of the insulated aluminum wire, which I will use for future casting projects when I start casting. But for now, the rest of the aluminum that I get, the sheet aluminum, the cast aluminum, that kind of stuff, that's paying the bills. It's cash flow for me. So when I have a bin full, I take it in. I try to take some sort of aluminum in every week as part of my cash flow. All right, so Scorpion Metals is saying that he just needs the secret to getting rich fast. Don't we all, man? Don't we all? Man, I wish there was a secret to it, right? There's a lot that goes into it. Um, there's a book that I read a while back, The Millionaire Fast Lane, and it talks about, what this author did that allowed him to get rich quick. There's no secret one path fits all way to make it happen. There's a lot of different paths that everybody takes to get there. And we have to keep working at it and figure out what's going to work for us. Certainly one of the worst things that you can do to get rich quick is to have a job, because your salary is taxed. So you're paying a lot of other people before you actually get paid. When you have your own business, you have the luxury of paying your taxes later on. And that's a good thing. But that also leads us to our business note for this week. And that business note is taxes. Why? Because it's the end of the year and the end of a quarter. So here, and this is mostly for our US based people, but most small businesses in the United States work on the calendar year. So that means that we have finished our last quarter from 2023. So you have to calculate things like your reemployment tax, your sales tax, and then because it's the end of 2023, you got to get all your tax information together for your annual filing to the IRS. I am not a tax accountant, a CPA, any of that kind of stuff. So, make sure that you are checking with an accountant, a certified tax attorney, whatever structure that you have for your business, so that you're doing it right. There are a lot of tax advantages when you own your own company. So things like your expenses that are legitimate business expenses, those are tax deductible. When I went to VidSummit this last year, when I went to the ISRI conference, my registration fee, my hotel bill, my airfare, all of that was tax deductible because it was a part of the normal operations of my business. When I get the truck worked on, there's a couple of ways that we deal with, that you can deal with your vehicle costs. My accountant has determined that the best thing for me to do is just take the mileage deduction for the truck. So I keep a vehicle log up all my miles. At the end of the year, there's a rate that the IRS applies, and that's a deduction to my taxes. Some places you will just keep track of the actual costs that you use on the vehicle. So your fuel, your maintenance, your tires, those kind of things. But those are only available deductions if you have a legitimate business. So if you're doing it as a hobby, then you can't take those kind of deductions. So you want to be really careful with what you are reporting for your taxes. And if you have any questions at all, make sure you talk to a tax attorney, a tax accountant, a CPA, and don't try to wing it yourself, because that's a really good way to get in trouble. My accountant is very helpful. She goes through all the books at the end of the year. She'll suggest things. She'll ask questions to try to help me save on my taxes. And of course, I always tell her that if there's any question about which way to go on something, I will pay the taxes, because I don't want to have the IRS knocking at my door telling me I owe them money. And, oh, by the way, here's what the interest is, and here's the fines, and it just snowballs out of control very quickly. I would much rather pay them a little bit extra and have them return it to me. Ideally, we would break even and I would pay the right amount, and there wouldn't be anything going one way or the other. So taxes is really important this time of year. Plus, here in the United States, you need to start getting your taxes ready for your April filing for your personal taxes, and all that's got to be done as well. So Get to work on your tax paperwork if you haven't already. And I'm just curious, how many of you have to, and this could be personal, so you don't have to put anything down, of course, if you don't want to, but, if you're paying quarterly estimated taxes, or if you've got, you've got other filings that you have to do in your state. So for instance, here in Florida, because I am an SMR and a registered business, I am supposed to collect sales tax whenever I buy, whenever somebody is buying something from me here in the state, right? So if I sell like one of the vintage computers to somebody here in Florida, I'm supposed to collect sales tax. Now, I haven't done any of that yet. The products that, hey, Nick, welcome, great to have you here. The products that I sell are, the commodities, the recyclable commodities. So those are not taxed. But, if I was to sell some of the vintage computers or something like that to someone here in the state, then I would have to collect sales tax. And then at the end of the quarter, I have to report and remit that sales tax to the state because it's state money, not mine. So I'm just curious if any of you have similar kind of situations that you deal with. All right. Well, enough of taxes. Don't want to bring you down right away on the new year and talk about taxes too long. So it's time now to get into our stocks for this discussion. And I was really excited when I got the Value Line edition this week. Now, remember, I use the Value Line Investment Survey as my primary source of information when I talk stocks. I am not sponsored by them. However, if anybody from Value Line ever watches this and you guys want to talk to me about sponsorship, I'll be happy to do that. Value Line Investment Survey does not take any advertising. So this is all subscription based. Therefore, the information that they give us is straight data and unbiased analysis of the data. I find that to be extremely important when I'm looking at the things that I'm going to invest in. It's also important to understand that I'm not a certified financial counselor or planner. I'm just sharing with you what I do when I'm looking at the stocks that I want to invest in. Many of you that have been with me now, you know the drill. You know how we do this, and we are. Scorpion Metals is saying that he collects state sales tax on coins and. Oh, all right, cool, very cool. All right, so our stock for this week. This edition had included in it precious metals industries and the metals and mining industries. So that was really cool. Now, what's not really cool is that there aren't that many companies in either the precious metal industries or the metals and mining industries that are qualified by my standard for consideration. If you've been with me for a while, you know those qualifications are that they have to have had at least 17 years of increasing cash flow per share, earnings per share, or dividends per share. However, I will allow them a down year, or in the case of dividends per share, I will allow them one flat year, no down years. So when we look at these stocks, I take the data from Value Line Investment Survey, I put it in this spreadsheet, and the only one of the precious metal companies that are evaluated by Value Line, and that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 companies that they survey, only one satisfies my requirement. So that's Royal Gold Incorporated. Their yield is 1.3%, and that's on a share price of $120.42. They're qualified because they are a Div 0. So you can see right here, 17 years of increasing dividends per share. We call that a Div 0 because they had no flat years. If we look at this graphically, what we can see is that the dividend line, this gold line, has trended up. Not fantastic, not as steep as we've seen from a lot of other folks, but generally trends up. And if we look at the cash flow and the earnings, while they are not qualified for these, we do see that these lines do tend to trend up, which is a good thing for a company, right? You know, the real issue for me, though, is at 1.3%, this is not a very good dividend stock. It's just, you know, why would you do that? I mean, you can get better money off of a savings account, and it's a lot safer. But there's a lot of other reasons why you would own stock. So if we look at what the investment line survey has to say about Royal Gold, they say that these shares are not a timely choice for the year ahead, although there may be some recovery potential, and they believe that the company is in a good position to grow its royalty and stream portfolios. So this is something important. So let me read this description of the company. Royal Gold acquires and manages precious metal royalties and metal streams. The company focuses on financing projects that are in production or in development stage in exchange for royalty interests. So they are not actually a mining company, but they finance the mining companies. So what that means is that with high interest rates right now, Royal Gold is an attractive option for mining companies to use for financing rather than having to go to the banks for the money. Higher interest rates and tighter lending standards are a boon for Royal since its streams become more attractive to miners looking to raise capital. The company has added about $1 billion in new streams and royalties over the past year, and we expect this trend to continue in the coming 18 months. Thus, patient investors should do well with the stock over the pull 2026 to 2028. So, yeah, it's not a great dividend stock, but if you're looking for something that's going to increase in value over the longer haul, this might be a place to put it if you want to get into, you know, something that's in the mining or the metals or mining kind of world. I am not invested in this, and I have no intention of investing in this. It just that dividend does not appeal to me at all, and I don't need to add it to my portfolio for anything at this stage. Now, we were talking about aluminum a little while ago, so why not talk about one of the aluminum companies that I think just about everybody knows, Kaiser Aluminum. Kaiser Aluminum produces semi-fabricated specialty aluminum products. The company offers rolled, extruded, and drawn aluminum products used principally for aerospace and defense, automotive, consumer durables, electronics, electrical, and machinery and equipment applications. They have 13 manufacturing facilities, 1 in Canada and 12 in the United States. Kaiser Aluminum, interesting story here. So they're 4.6%. So that gets my attention, 4.6%. And the price at $67, that's not too bad. That's not a bad place to be getting in. They are not qualified by cash flow or earnings per share. And look at that. They're not really qualified on dividends per share. However, this is a forecast. So the question will become, does this hold true? If this holds true and they do not increase the dividend in 2024, then they would not be qualified. Right now, they are technically qualified because if you do not include 2024's forecast, then they would be a Div 1 because they had this one flat year back here. So Kaiser Aluminum is something that I would consider investing in if I was buying stocks right now. But again, remember, I'm going to be relocating in 2024, so I need to build up a cash reserve to help me with that move. So I'm not making any major moves in the stock market right now. Let's see what the analysts have to say here. Long-term growth prospects appear sound. The company stands to benefit from the ongoing transition to hybrid and fully electric vehicles and the trend towards making them lighter, which means using more aluminum. Further, the defense industry has been a source of income for the past 25 years, and they don't see that going away anytime soon. In fact, that will probably pick up. And the company has acknowledged that they need to do a better job of their focus on the defense and munitions manufacturing. Meanwhile, the push across the economy for the organization to become more sustainable should also help stimulate aluminum demand because of its lightweight strength and recyclability. And there's a lot of effort to try to make recycling of aluminum more of a move as well. So Kaiser Aluminum is a contender for those of you that want to look at investing in a miner or a metal company. And of all of the precious metal companies and the mining and metals industries that were analyzed, this is the only one that not only qualifies, right? Is qualified, but could become unqualified, but has a dividend that's high enough that it has my interest. So let's see here what was going on while I was relaying all of that information. Let's see what kind of comments we've got going on here. I'm going back up. Okay. Let's see. Going back up through the comments here. So Homer says he's using ETFs for the metal industry. Makes good sense. ETFs are a very interesting way to manage your investment. You get access across a number of companies that way. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I really, I ought to take a look and see if there's a way for me to access ETF information through my Value Line subscription. They may have, that information doesn't come to me in my weekly newsletters that I get from them, but I may be able to access it and take a look at some of those ETFs in a different way, but still have the value of the independent, unbiased analysis from Value Line to take a look at that. So we'll see what we can come up with there. JR Cat wants to know if I'm doing a Diddy move. For those of you that aren't familiar with some of the military terminology, Diddy move is when in the military, when you move yourself. So when you're in the military and you relocate from one station to another, the military pays, at least in the United States, the military pays to move you. And you've got two primary ways to do that. You can have the military bring in a moving company and they'll pack up all your stuff. They'll bring it to the new house. You unload everything. Or you can do a Diddy move where you do it all yourself and the military pays you to do the move. This I don't know how this is going to play out, JR Cat. Combination, most likely. There'll be some things that we'll just move ourselves, other things that I'm going to have to just pay to move. I mean, I've got some big furniture and I got some big equipment in the shark cage that I'm not going to be loading up and moving myself. So probably a mix. So Matthew wanted to know if I'm moving out of Florida. Yeah, that's the plan, Matthew. We are moving out of Florida. Most likely we're headed to Asheville, North Carolina. Okay, let's see. Hey, Solers, great to have you here. Welcome to the show. We're in the wrap up stage here, but it is great to have you here. Raffle Scrapper, welcome. Glad you could make it, sir. All right, so I didn't see any other comments on the metals or the mining industry or other comments on taxes. Okay, so Matthew says, heard, well, South Florida, I'm sure we'll miss you. Yeah, well, we'll miss you all too. I probably will still be doing some business down here. I've been talking to the yards that I do business with here on a regular basis, and we're going to figure out how we can, keep doing it. I've got a couple yards that I buy e-waste from, and they want to keep selling the e-waste to me. So, I'm going to have to figure out either an LTL shipping option or what I can do to continue the relationship, because we've been doing business now for 4 years. It would be a shame to lose that business. And it's an important business for them as well, because, they want to keep selling that material. And we have gotten to the point with each other where we don't even have to, it's like we've set a benchmark. If shred steel goes below a certain price, then what I pay for the computers goes down to a certain price. And if it's above a certain price, then I raise what I pay them. I can't reveal the details because that's part of our agreement, is that I don't share the details. But it's nice to have a relationship like that with the people you do business with, where you trust each other enough that, you don't even have to ask. I get up to the window, and the lady there just asked me, what are you paying this week? That'll be an interesting question, man. I don't know for sure. What I do know for sure is my lease expires the end of April. The end of May. And I'm not going to renew my lease with this company. So, for the business location. So the end of May is like, one of those lines in the sand that is going to drive a lot of our decision making. And we're talking with some real estate agents about when to put the house on the market. The timing for that. I'd like to have it all synced up so that we get the house sold, and it correlates closely to when my lease expires. And so we got to get that all figured out. A lot of irons in the fire this year with stuff that's going on. So give me a call, drop me an email or whatever, and we'll figure out a time when if you want to come up and we can talk, that's cool. Or you can, I'm happy to help you out online too. You can always email me at sharkscrapper@gmail.com, send me pictures, and we can talk through, whatever it is that you have questions about. Yeah, another move, and this is a big move, Solars, because I'm not just moving to the other side of town. I'm moving to another state. So it's like an 8-hour drive, it's a big one. They're very flexible, JR Cat. It's some new owners in there, and right now, I've told them that I don't intend to renew the lease and what my plans are, and they've said no problem. If you need to go early, we can advertise the space, and if we can get somebody in there, we can let you out of the lease early. If we get snagged up, they'll be happy to go month to month. Of course, that means that the lease is going to go up, right? Because that's the way that game is played. I've got a real good relationship with the landlord, so we'll see what, I'm sure that they'll be flexible and work with me if necessary. They're doing a great job of moving in. The new landlord actually bought the building to bring their own business into the building. So they took all of the empty bays and they've gutted them and completely refurbished all of the empty bays. The new company makes activewear, so gymnastics kind of clothing, leotards, and those kind of things. So they've done a great job of getting the building, getting the inside of those spaces cleaned up and looking real nice. And I've been helping them out with some stuff here and there as necessary. And they'll be moving in this month. They're moving their operations in this month now that they're done their renovations. So I'll be able to meet with them on a regular basis now. They're undecided on what they want to do with my space when I leave. They may use it for storage, or they may lease it out. They've been so focused on getting themselves moved into the building that they haven't really thought through what's going to come next. Whereas that's all I've been doing is thinking about how am I going to move that great big floor scale? How am I going to move the genie lift? I mean, those things are heavy. That's just going to be a real pain in the patootis to do all that movus. Oh, man. Oh, Matthew, you're welcome, man. Hey, we're all little guys in this game, right? If you're not a Royal Gold or a Kaiser Aluminum or a CMC Metals or somebody like that, we're all little guys in this game. And by working together, we can help each other out and try to do, at least hold our own against the big guys. I tell you what, since I've got a few minutes, I do want to touch on that. When I was at the ISRI Southeast Region Conference, the Institute for Scrap and Recycle Industries, I was at the Southeast Region Conference a few months ago, and I got to meet some of representatives from these larger recycling companies. The big names that you see, the ones that are all across the country, they have facilities all over the place. And I was joking around with the one guy. I said, I got a YouTube channel. I talk to a lot of small scrappers, people that are referred to as peddlers, the folks, the hobbyists that bring in their material to sell. And I said, there's a love-hate relationship that goes on. And they said, most of those larger companies will admit that the peddlers, the folks that are bringing that material in, they're important customers. You would think that the big industrial players are the ones that, that they would die without these big industrial customers. And there's a certain amount of truth to that. But they said, the amount of material that the peddlers bring in on a routine basis, every day there's this constant inflow of shred steel and aluminum and copper wire from those little guys like us that bring in the pickup truck loads or the pickup truck with the trailer loads. They're only a couple 100 pounds, 400 pounds, those kind of loads. But it's every day, and there's a lot of people coming in every day bringing those loads, and those are really important to those big yards that they continue to have that inflow of material. So, yeah, just because we're little guys, in the game, little players in the game, we should not at all feel like we're not doing something that's important, that's necessary, and that we're not a bigger part of this industry than what we are. So, I would say anybody who feels like you're one of the little guys, keep at it, because we're all really important in this. Matthew says he's an HCAV guy, and well, and you got a lot of it, man. So that's a great thing for you to do, because I have some HVAC folks that are clients of mine, and I help them out because I buy the stuff from them, so they're still getting their money, but they don't have to mess with it anymore, or take the time going to the yards or those kind of things. So, Raffle Scrapper says, I don't imagine if I need to move from here, but I know one day it'll come. Yeah. I remember when you were looking at that one farm, man, that one farm was looking sweet. I remember that farm you looked at. That was really good. Yeah, I will be closer to board sort. And the shipping will be less expensive. Absolutely. So there will be some benefit to that. Mr. Matthews, welcome. Great to have you here, sir. Hope that you're feeling better now. I know you were under the weather for a little while. Let's see. I work with Scrap City, and I think I have a location down by you. Mine is in Delray. Yeah. Okay. All right. And he got upgraded to a commercial account Yep. That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah. Commercial accounts, when you get upgraded to a commercial account, it can help you out because you can get some better prices that way, and a little better reporting from them and stuff like that. So the commercial accounts, if you become a commercial account for someone, it's really good. I didn't realize that the yards around here had put me in as a commercial account, and it was funny because I was just talking to a local scrapper one day, and we were talking about the prices, and I said, yeah, they're paying blah blah blah, whatever it was, and they said, what, really? That's not what they paid me. And it was like, oops. But he figured it out right away. He's like, oh yeah, you must have a commercial account with them. So he wasn't upset. He understood. But it's good when you get upgraded to the commercial account. Oh, and they even gave you a Christmas card, a bottle of champagne and cookies. Now that's awesome, man. Sweet. Always good when you get the. I don't drink anymore, so the champagne wouldn't do anything, but the cookies, man, sweet. Yeah, man. Oh yeah, that place would get flooding. Yeah, that would suck. That would take all the fun out of it, wouldn't it? I was looking at a place up in North Carolina, and the price was very reasonable, and I was scratching my head going, why is this so reasonable? So then I pulled up the floodplain surveys, and I figured out why it was so reasonable. Because they were probably half the property was well inside of a flood zone, and not even 100-year flood zone. It was like the 10-year flood zone. So it was like, yeah, that's going to get flooded, and it's going to be a mess, and we're not going to do that. Oh man. Hey, Scrapping Irish, let me know if you're about ready to take it over, man, because I'm about ready to hand off to you here. If you have autoplay enabled, when I end this stream, you will be auto redirected to Scrapping Irish's live stream. Hey, E-Waste Jill, great to have you. We're about ready to wrap up though, but you're welcome to join us on the other side of the pond in Ireland. Again, if you have autoplay enabled, you will be redirected to Ireland, where we will be joining Scrapping Irish in just a couple of minutes. He just said give him a minute to get his live stream up and running. So we're going to talk for a minute here while he gets going. Yeah, that's really important that you check the flood zones, especially anymore these days, because, it was always important, but especially in coastal areas, the flood zones have become more and more of a problem. Here in Jacksonville, when we've had some of the near-miss tropical storms, the hurricanes, the flooding in the coastal zones became really problematic, and homeowners and businesses that had never had flooding, in all the years that they've been here, are now starting to get flooding, and that's a real serious issue. So it's something that you got to pay attention to, no matter what you're doing. And it's been a really interesting learning curve for me as I have been looking at buying a business or buying land, because I'd really like to own the property now, and all the stuff that you got to think about when you're actually going to own that business property instead of just lease the business property. it adds a whole new level to the interest and the complication. So what we may end up doing for North Carolina is I may end up leasing again when we first move up there, because I want to get up there and kind of get settled in and get to know the area and a lot more detail than what I do right now. We're going to take a trip up there here in another month or so that we can be up there during the cold part of the year and get a feel for what it's like up there during the winter part. I'm going to meet with the folks that I'll be doing business with up there, and I've identified a couple other businesses that I want to meet with when I'm up there. So really need to develop my understanding of that area, but I think before I buy something. So probably the plan is going to be that I'm going to lease again for a couple years, and that'll let me work my way into a good piece of property to buy. So we'll see, and I'll keep everybody posted, because it's going to be a really weird year for me, and I want to share that weirdness with all of you. So, and by the way, it's the last week for the tree. So the tree's going to come down this week. So next week, no more tree. Urban Prospector, Sherry, have you ever compared stocks using their CAGR or beta numbers? Really good question. And because I'm looking at because I invest in stocks for dividends, CAGR and beta are not as big a thing for me. Certainly if you're looking at trading stocks, beta becomes a much more important number. For me, I want a good, stable, therefore, low beta and good dividend. CAGR, I've got a real issue with, because I tell you, when I was working in industry as an executive at a couple of companies, and some of the other execs would be pushing CAGR, and it's just there's some challenges with that number that don't reveal all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I don't really look at CAGR a whole lot. It's something that, depending upon what you're doing, you want to look at it, right? I mean, you're not going to get into an industry that doesn't have a decent CAGR. But as far as applying it to a stock that I'm going to invest, no, not really. Let's see. E-Waste Jill. Altitude equaled snow. Yeah. You know what? It's funny, but I've bbeen joking around with Kelly, Mrs. Shark, about, when we move up there, I'm probably going to need to get a tractor. So now it may be that I get a tractor that can also be used as a forklift and a snow plow and a lot of other fun things. So there's going to be some benefits to that, right? Oh, wrong CAGR, JR Cat. Wrong CAGR, man. All right, y'all. I'm sure that Scrapping Irish is ready and waiting for us, so I'm going to wrap this up. I will see you all on the other side of the pond in Ireland. If I don't, then have a great week. And remember, if you don't have autoplay enabled, then please go to YouTube, look up Scrapping Irish, and join us in Ireland for his live stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side.